You do not find your life, you build it. Welcome to Inner Power Audio. If you are here, some part of you may be tired of living on autopilot. Tired of waking up and feeling like the day already belongs to everyone else. Tired of reacting to pressure, answering demands, checking your phone before checking your own mind, and moving through life with the quiet feeling that something about it was never fully chosen by you. Most people do not live the life they chose. They live the life they slowly accepted. They accept the schedule. They accept the noise. They accept the pressure. They accept the version of themselves shaped by fear, habit, comparison, and old expectations. And after enough years, they call it normal. But normal is not always freedom. Sometimes, normal is just a life you stopped questioning. Inner Power Audio is built for people who want to master themselves from the inside out, through discipline, through clarity, through emotional control, through quiet strength. If this message speaks to where you are in life right now, subscribe and stay with this channel, not for hype, not for noise, but for deep audiobook experiences that help you return to yourself, because this audiobook is not about escaping your life. It is about rebuilding it. A life on your own terms does not mean rejecting responsibility. It does not mean ignoring people. It does not mean doing whatever feels good in the moment. That is not freedom. That is impulse wearing the mask of freedom. Real freedom is different. Real freedom begins when your choices are no longer controlled by fear. When your emotions no longer lead every reaction. When your attention is no longer stolen by every notification, every opinion, every comparison, and every demand. Real freedom begins when you become the architect of your own life. And architecture always begins with design. A strong life is not built by accident. It is built with awareness. It is built with standards. It is built with boundaries. It is built with discipline. It is built with the courage to stop living by default and start choosing with intention. That is the architecture of self-mastery. In this audiobook, we will move through 10 inner structures. We will begin by breaking the habit of living by default. Then we will draw the blueprint of your own terms. We will build inner authority, set boundaries, turn standards into structure. Protect your attention, master your reactions. Choose discipline when motivation disappears. Build quietly until the results speak. And finally, learn to live as the architect, not the prisoner, of your life. As you listen, do not treat this as background noise. Let it become a mirror. When a sentence hits something true, pause it. Write it down. Replay it. Share it with someone who may need to hear it. And if you want more deep self-mastery audiobooks like this, leave a like, so this message can reach more people who are also trying to build themselves in silence. You do not need to change your entire life today. You only need to become honest about what is no longer working. You only need to see where you have been reacting instead of choosing. You only need to notice where your life has been designed by fear, convenience, approval, and old habits. That awareness is the first brick, so take a breath. Let the noise settle. For the next part of this journey, do not ask, "What do people expect from me?" Ask a better question. What kind of life am I willing to build? Because you do not find your life, you build it. And the first brick is awareness. Chapter 1. Stop living by default. Most people do not lose themselves all at once. It happens quietly. One small compromise at a time. One ignored feeling. One delayed decision. One repeated excuse. One yes spoken when the soul wanted to say no. You do not always lose your life through disaster. Sometimes, you lose it through routine. You wake up. You reach for your phone. You let the world enter your mind before you have entered your own day. You check messages. You check notifications. You check what everyone else is doing. And before your feet touch the floor, your attention has already been claimed. Then the day begins. You move through work. You answer demands. You handle what is urgent. You do what is expected. You stay busy because stopping would force you to ask questions you may not. want to answer. And slowly a life forms around you, not a life you designed, a life you adapted to. That is what it means to live by default. Living by default does not always look broken. Sometimes it looks responsible. It can look like paying bills, keeping commitments, going to work, answering people, and doing what everyone says a good adult is supposed to do. But inside, something feels off. Because movement is not the same as direction. Activity is not the same as intention. Survival is not the same as self-mastery. A life without design becomes a life of reaction. If you do not choose your direction, your environment will choose it for you. If you do not set your standards, your emotions will set them. If you do not decide what matters, everything will feel urgent. This is why so many people feel exhausted even when they are not physically doing that much. They are tired because their life is not being led from the inside. It is being pulled from the outside, pulled by messages, pulled by expectations, pulled by fear, pulled by comparison, pulled by the pressure to remain the version of themselves other people already understand. And the most dangerous part is this. After enough repetition, default begins to feel like identity. You say, "This is just how I am," but often it is not who you are. It is what you practiced. You practiced delaying your own needs. You practiced reacting quickly. You practiced seeking approval. You practiced avoiding difficult decisions. You practiced making peace with discomfort instead of changing the structure that creates it. And what you practice long enough begins to feel natural. But natural does not always mean true. Some habits feel natural because they are familiar, not because they are aligned. Self-mastery begins when you interrupt the automatic pattern, not with shame, with awareness. You do not need to hate the life you have in order to rebuild it. You only need to become honest about what you have stopped choosing. Ask yourself, did I choose this, or did I slowly accept it? Did I build this, or did I inherit it? Is this my standard, or just my pattern? These questions are not comfortable, but comfort is not the goal. Freedom is. And freedom begins when you realize that not every part of your life deserves to continue just because it has existed for a long time. Some routines are not structure. They are cages with familiar walls. Some relationships are not loyalty. They are fear wearing the mask of responsibility. Some habits are not personality. They are old survival strategies that never got updated. Look at your work. Look at your health. Look at your time. Look at your relationships. Look at your attention. Look at your emotional reactions. Where are you choosing? And where are you simply repeating? This is not about blaming yourself. Blame keeps you stuck. Responsibility gives you power. Blame says, "I am trapped because of what happened." Responsibility says, "I may not have chosen everything that shaped me, but I can choose how I build from here." That is the first shift. You stop asking who caused the life you have. You start asking who is responsible for the life you build next. For the next 24 hours, practice noticing. Notice when you reach for your phone without choosing. Notice when you say yes too quickly. Notice when you react because silence feels uncomfortable. Notice when you follow a routine that no longer serves you. Do not change everything. Just notice. Awareness is the first brick. You cannot redesign what you refuse to see, and you cannot build a life on your own terms while pretending you are already free. The first act of self-mastery is not discipline. It is honesty. Honesty about the life you are living. Honesty about the patterns you are repeating. Honesty about the places where you have been drifting instead of deciding. You are not weak for realizing this. You are waking up. And waking up is not always gentle. It can feel like grief. It can feel like anger. It can feel like regret. It can feel like looking at a room you have lived in for years and finally noticing the cracks in the walls. But cracks are not the end. They are information. They show you where the structure needs attention. So start there. Not with a grand plan, not with a dramatic announcement. Start with one question. Where am I living by default? Then choose one automatic behavior to interrupt, one small pattern, one small reaction, one small leak of attention, one small place where your life has been running without your permission. Interrupt it. That is how design begins. Not with perfection, with awareness. A life without design becomes a life of reaction. And from this moment forward, reaction is no longer enough. Chapter 2. Draw the blueprint of your own terms. Everyone says they want to live life on their own terms. But very few people define what those terms actually are. They use the phrase as if it means freedom. But without clarity, freedom becomes vague. And vague freedom often turns into impulse. Living on your own terms does not mean doing whatever you want whenever you want. That is not mastery. That is mood disguised as freedom. It does not mean rejecting responsibility. It does not mean ignoring people who matter. It does not mean becoming selfish, cold, or unreachable. It does not mean burning down your life just because you feel restless. A life on your own terms is not built from rebellion. It is built from clarity. It means knowing what you value before the world tells you what to value. It means knowing what kind of person you are becoming before pressure pulls you back into the old version. It means knowing what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. Not just from others, from yourself. Because the deepest prison is not always built by other people. Sometimes it is built by your own low standards, your own excuses, and your own repeated betrayal of what you know is true. That is why a blueprint matters. In architecture, a blueprint gives the structure direction before the first wall is built. Without it, every decision becomes guesswork. The builders may stay busy, but the building will not become strong. The same is true for life. If you do not know what you are building, you will confuse movement with progress. You will chase opportunities that do not align. You will accept relationships that drain you. You will spend time on things that make you feel important for a moment, but empty in the long run. You will say yes to what is urgent and no to what is essential. A vague blueprint creates a weak structure. So before you ask how to become more disciplined, ask what your discipline is supposed to serve. Before you ask how to focus, ask what deserves your attention. Before you ask how to become stronger, ask what kind of life requires your strength. Clarity comes before consistency. A person who does not know their terms will always be controlled by someone else's. Their family's terms, their workplace terms, their culture's terms, the internet's terms, their fears' terms, their past's terms, and they may call it being realistic. But sometimes, being realistic is just the language people use when they are afraid to be honest. Here is the truth. You cannot build your life on your own terms if those terms only exist as feelings. They must become words, clear words, specific words. Words you can return to when emotion gets loud. Words you can use when pressure asks you to betray yourself. Words that become the blueprint. So ask yourself with seriousness, what am I no longer available for? Maybe you are no longer available for starting your morning in panic. Maybe you are no longer available for relationships that require you to abandon your peace. Maybe you are no longer available for pretending you do not care about your health. Maybe you are no longer available for giving your best energy to distractions and your leftover energy to your future. Maybe you are no longer available for speaking to yourself with disrespect. Write it down. Then ask a second question. What am I building? Not what am I escaping? What am I building? A calmer mind, a stronger body, a more honest career, a disciplined morning, a peaceful home. A life with fewer performances and more truth. A version of yourself that no longer needs chaos to feel alive. Now ask the third question. What is my highest standard? This matters because your standard becomes the ruler you measure your behavior against. If your highest standard is peace, then you cannot keep feeding drama. If your highest standard is health, then you cannot keep treating your body like an afterthought. If your highest standard is freedom, then you cannot keep selling your attention to every distraction. If your highest standard is self-respect, then you cannot keep breaking promises to yourself and expecting confidence to grow. Confidence is not built by affirmations alone. It is built when your behavior gives your mind evidence that you can trust yourself. Then ask the final question. The person I am becoming does not what? The person I am becoming does not beg for approval. The person I am becoming does not start the day in digital noise. The person I am becoming does not react to every emotion as if it is a command. The person I am becoming does not call comfort a plan. The person I am becoming does not confuse being busy with being aligned. These sentences matter. They create edges. And a life without edges cannot hold shape. Your blueprint is not supposed to impress anyone. It is supposed to guide you. It is supposed to remind you who you are becoming when the old version wants control again. Because the old version will return. It will speak in familiar excuses. It will say, "Start tomorrow." It will say, "You are tired." It will say, "This is too hard." It will say, "What will people think?" It will say, "Maybe this is just who you are." That is when you return to the blueprint, not to feel inspired, to remember. A blueprint is not emotion. It is direction. And direction is priceless when emotion becomes unreliable. So today, write 4 lines I am no longer available for. I am building a life where my highest standard is. The person I am becoming do not make them perfect. Make them honest. A clear life begins with clear terms. And clear terms begin with the courage to stop lying about what you truly want, what you truly value, and what you can no longer afford to repeat. Your life changes when your standards become clearer than your excuses. That is the blueprint. And once the blueprint is clear, the foundation can finally be built. Chapter 3. Build the foundation of inner authority. Before you build success outside, you need authority inside. Not arrogance, not stubbornness, not the need to prove that you are always right. Inner authority is quieter than that. It is the ability to stand behind your choices without needing the whole world to understand them. It is the strength to listen to advice without surrendering your direction. It is the ability to disappoint people without abandoning yourself. A life on your own terms cannot be built on borrowed permission. And yet many people spend their entire lives waiting for permission. Permission to start, permission to leave, permission to change, permission to want more, permission to rest, permission to become different from the version everyone is used to. They say they are looking for clarity, but often they are looking for approval. They ask 10 people what they should do because they are afraid to trust what they already know. They collect opinions like building materials, then wonder why the structure feels unstable. But you cannot build a strong life from other people's uncertainty. You can respect others and still choose for yourself. You can listen without obeying. You can receive feedback without making it your foundation. This is where many people lose themselves. They think being open-minded means letting everyone have a vote in their life. But not every voice deserves access to your blueprint. Some people speak from fear. Some speak from their own limits. Some speak from love, but love mixed with control. Some speak from a version of you they do not want to lose. And some speak loudly because they have never built the thing you are trying to build. Inner authority requires discernment. You do not reject all advice. You learn to ask better questions. Does this advice align with the life I am building? Does this person understand my values? Are they speaking from wisdom or from fear? Have they built something I respect? Do they want my growth or do they want my familiarity? These questions protect your foundation, because if you let every opinion become a stone in your structure, your life will carry the weight of people who were never meant to build with you. Inner authority begins when you stop outsourcing your self-trust. This does not happen all at once. It is built in small decisions. You choose what to do with your morning. You choose what you allow into your mind. You choose how quickly you respond. You choose what you tolerate. You choose what standard you return to when no one is watching. Every small decision either strengthens or weakens your inner authority. When you keep asking others to confirm what you already know, you teach yourself that your own voice is not enough. When you make a decision and stand by it, even a small one, you teach yourself that your voice can be trusted. That is how the foundation grows. Not through one dramatic act, through repeated self-respect. Ask yourself, what do I already know, but keep asking others to confirm? This question is powerful because most people are not as confused as they pretend to be. They know the habit is hurting them. They know the relationship is draining them. They know the goal matters. They know the environment is shaping them. They know the conversation needs to happen. They know the next step, but knowing creates responsibility, and responsibility can feel heavy. So they keep searching for one more opinion, one more video, one more sign, one more reason to delay the moment when they finally have to choose. But a life on your own terms begins when you stop using confusion as shelter. Sometimes the answer is already inside you. You are just afraid of the cost. Inner authority does not remove fear. It teaches you not to let fear be the architect. You can be afraid and still choose. You can be uncertain and still take one honest step. You can be misunderstood and still remain aligned. This is maturity, not the absence of doubt, the refusal to let doubt own the steering wheel. Practice this today. Choose one small decision and make it without over-explaining. Do not ask 5 people. Do not rewrite the message 10 times. Do not wait until everyone feels comfortable with your clarity. Choose, then stand behind it calmly. You can say, I hear your opinion, but I will choose what aligns with my direction. Say it without aggression. Say it without apology. Say it as a person who is learning to hold their own ground. This is not about becoming hard. It is about becoming rooted. A foundation does not need to be loud. It needs to be strong. And strength often looks like quiet certainty. The world will not always understand what you are building. That is fine. A foundation is mostly invisible. People see the building later. They see the results later. They see the confidence later. But the real work happens underground, in the place no one applauds. The place where you stop asking for permission to be responsible for your own life. The place where you stop betraying yourself to remain easy for others to accept. The place where you choose alignment over approval. Do not build your life on borrowed permission. Build it on inner authority. Because the moment your foundation becomes your own, the walls can finally rise. Chapter 4. Set boundaries like walls, not weapons. A boundary is not a weapon. It is a wall. And a wall is not built because you hate what is outside. It is built because something inside is worth protecting. Your time is worth protecting. Your peace is worth protecting. Your focus is worth protecting. Your energy is worth protecting. Your future is worth protecting. And if you do not protect these things, they will be taken. Not always by bad people, often by normal people with normal demands, normal expectations, and normal access to you. That is why boundaries matter. Without boundaries, your life becomes open space. Anyone can enter with urgency. Anyone can leave their expectations on your floor. Anyone can interrupt your attention. Anyone can pull your emotions into their storm. And because you want to be kind, you let it happen. You answer immediately. You explain too much. You agree before thinking. You stay available even when you are exhausted. You call it being helpful. But over time, help without boundaries becomes resentment. You begin to feel irritated at people you never taught how to respect your limits. You feel drained by commitments you never wanted to accept. You feel angry at expectations you kept feeding with your silence. This is not their fault alone. It is also a structure problem. A life without boundaries cannot hold peace. Many people misunderstand boundaries because they think boundaries are harsh. They think a boundary means, I do not care about you. But a health boundary says, I care about this enough to protect it. I care about my health. I care about my work. I care about my family. I care about my purpose. I care about my ability to show up without being secretly bitter. Boundaries do not make you less loving. They make your love cleaner. Because when you stop giving from guilt, you can begin giving from truth. A clear no protects a meaningful yes. Every time you say yes to something that drains your life, you are saying no to something that could build it. Yes to unnecessary drama may be no to deep work. Yes to late-night scrolling may be no to morning clarity. Yes to people-pleasing may be no to self-respect. Yes to every request may be no to the future you claim you want. So the question is not only, should I say yes or no? The question is, what is this yes costing me? Boundaries help you count the cost before you pay with your life. Start with your energy. What drains you consistently? Not once, consistently. Which people leave you feeling smaller, tense, or guilty? Which apps make your mind feel scattered? Which habits take more from you than they give? Which obligations exist only because you are afraid of disappointing someone? Do not answer quickly. Look honestly. Your life is giving you data. Your exhaustion is data. Your resentment is data. Your distraction is data. Your lack of peace is data. A boundary begins when you stop ignoring the data. Then you choose one small wall. Not a dramatic wall, a mature wall. No phone during the first 30 minutes of the morning. No answering non-urgent messages after a certain time. No saying yes immediately. No explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. No giving emotional access to every person who brings chaos. One wall, built clearly, held calmly. The strength of a boundary is not in how aggressively you announce it. It is in how consistently you live it. You do not need to over-explain. Over-explaining often means you are still asking for permission. Try simple language. I can't commit to that right now. That does not work for me. I need time to think before I answer. I am not available for that conversation tonight. I understand, but my answer is no, short, clean, respectful, no performance. No guilt speech, no long courtroom defense. A boundary does not need a dramatic explanation to be valid. At first, some people may resist, not because your boundary is wrong, but because they benefited from you not having one. Do not confuse someone's discomfort with your wrongdoing. When you change the structure, people who are used to the old access may feel the difference. Let them. You are not responsible for making everyone comfortable with your growth. You are responsible for building a life you can respect, and a respectable life has walls. Walls around your purpose, walls around your attention, walls around your emotional energy, walls around the time you need to become who you say you want to become. This does not make you cold. It makes you conscious. A house without walls is not generous. It is unfinished. A life without boundaries is not loving. It is unprotected. So build the wall, not to attack, to protect, not to isolate. To preserve, not to punish others, to honor what matters. For the next 72 hours, choose one boundary and keep it. Make it small enough to practice and meaningful enough to matter. Protect your morning. Protect your focus. Protect your answer. Protect your peace. And when guilt appears, do not obey it immediately. Observe it. Guilt often appears when you stop performing the old version of yourself. Let it rise. Let it pass. Stay with the boundary. A boundary is not a wall against people. It is a wall around your purpose. And once the walls are standing, your standards need structure. Chapter 5. Turn standards into structure. Standards sound powerful when you say them, but they only become real when they change your structure. Chapter 2 was about defining the blueprint. This chapter is about making that blueprint livable, because anyone can say, I value health. But the calendar tells the truth. Anyone can say, I want peace. But their reactions tell the truth. Anyone can say, I am focused. But their environment tells the truth. Anyone can say, I am building a better life. But their daily habits tell the truth. Your life does not rise to your words. It settles into your structure. That is why a standard without structure is only a wish. A standard is what you claim matters. Structure is what makes it repeatable when motivation disappears. This is where many people fail. They create goals but not systems. They create intentions but not routines. They create promises but not protection. They say they want to change, but they keep living inside the same environment that trained the old version. Then they blame themselves for lacking discipline. But sometimes the problem is not that you are weak. The problem is that your structure is working against you. If your phone is next to your bed, the structure supports distraction. If your workspace is full of clutter, the structure supports scattered thinking. If your evenings are unplanned, the structure supports drifting. If your boundaries are unclear, the structure supports interruption. If your meals, sleep, schedule, and focus are always improvised, the structure supports inconsistency. You cannot expect self-mastery from a life designed for chaos. You must turn standards into structure. Start with one standard, not 10. 1. For example, I protect my mind. That sounds good. But what does it mean at 7:10 in the morning? What does it mean when you wake up tired? What does it mean when your hand reaches for the phone? Structure makes it specific. No phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. That is structure. Or take the standard, I respect my body. Good. But what does it mean on a busy Tuesday? What does it mean when work is stressful? What does it mean when you do not feel motivated? Structure makes it visible. A 20-minute walk each morning, water before coffee, a fixed bedtime 4 nights a week. A simple meal, prepared before hunger, makes the decision for you. That is structure. Or take the standard, I build my future. That sounds inspiring, but inspiration is not enough. What does building look like? 60 minutes of deep work before entertainment. 1 page written, 1 lesson completed, 1 application sent, 1 skill practiced, 1 budget review every Friday. 1 Sunday planning session before the week begins. 1 evening shutdown routine that tells your mind the day is complete. That is structure. Structure is how you stop negotiating with your lowest mood. Because your mood will change, your energy will change, your confidence will change, your circumstances will change. But when the structure is clear, you do not need to decide from scratch every day. The decision has already been made. This is why strong people often look simple from the outside. They are not constantly reinventing their life. They repeat the right things. They protect the right things. They remove unnecessary decisions. They create a structure where their standards have somewhere to live. Self-mastery is not just about willpower. It is about design. If you want fewer distractions, design a less distracting environment. If you want better focus, design a focus block. If you want more peace, design pauses into your reactions. If you want better health, design movement into your day. If you want deeper confidence, design small promises you can actually keep. Confidence grows when structure creates evidence. Every time you follow the structure, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. You prove something to yourself. Not with words, with behavior. And behavior is the language your identity understands. Ask yourself, what standard do I claim but fail to structure? Maybe you say family matters, but you give them only the tired version of you. Maybe you say growth matters, but your best attention goes to scrolling. Maybe you say health matters, but your day has no place for movement. Maybe you say peace matters, but you keep entering conversations that disturb your mind. Maybe you say self-respect matters, but you keep breaking promises privately. Do not shame yourself. Study the structure. What does your calendar say you value? What does your environment make easy? What does your routine make difficult? What do you keep expecting from yourself without giving yourself the support to repeat it? A strong structure does not remove effort. It makes effort easier to return to. So today, choose one standard, then give it a home in your life. A time, a place, a rule, a trigger, a small action. Make it visible. Make it repeatable. Make it hard to ignore. Do not write, "I need to be more disciplined." Write, "At 8 a.m. I walk for 20 minutes." Do not write, "I need to focus more." Write, "From 9 to 10, my phone is in another room and I work on one task." Do not write, "I need peace." Write, "When I feel triggered, I pause before responding." This is how standards become structure, and structure becomes identity. A standard without structure is only a wish. So stop wishing. Start building. Because once your structure is clear, you must protect the material that makes construction possible. Your attention. Chapter 6. Protect your attention as building material. Your attention is not small, it is not empty, it is not unlimited. Your attention is the raw material of your life. Where it goes, something is being built. If your attention goes to comparison, comparison grows. If your attention goes to drama, drama grows. If your attention goes to fear, fear grows. If your attention goes to your future grows. This is why attention matters. Not because productivity culture says you should always be working. Not because rest is wrong. Not because you must become a machine. Attention matters because your life follows what consistently holds your mind, and right now, the world is fighting for it. Your attention is being bought, sold, measured, targeted, and monetized. Every notification wants a piece of it. Every platform wants to keep it. Every outrage wants to pull it. Every comparison wants to weaken it. Every distraction wants to enter the construction site of your life and walk away with the material. Then you wonder why you feel mentally tired. You wonder why you cannot focus. You wonder why your goals feel far away. You wonder why your mind feels full, but your life feels unchanged. It is because your attention is being spent everywhere except where your life needs to be built. You cannot build a deep life with a scattered mind. This does not mean you can never relax. Relaxation is not the enemy. Unconscious consumption is. There is a difference between choosing rest and being captured by distraction. Rest restores you. Distraction fragments you. Rest leaves you clearer. Distraction leaves you hungry for more noise. Rest is intentional. Distraction is often avoidance. That is why one of the most powerful questions you can ask before opening an app is this: what am I trying to escape? Are you escaping boredom, stress, loneliness, a hard task, a difficult feeling, the discomfort of silence, the fear that if you sit with yourself, you may hear the truth? Your attention often runs where your emotions do not want to look. Self-mastery brings it back, gently, firmly, back to the task, back to the body, back to the present, back to what matters. Because attention is building material. If you waste it, your future has less to work with. Imagine trying to build a house while giving away the bricks every morning. One brick to social media. One brick to someone else's drama. One brick to comparison. One brick to pointless arguments. One brick to checking your phone every few minutes. One brick to worrying about opinions that do not shape your purpose. By the end of the day, you are tired, but nothing important has been built. This is how many people live. Busy, stimulated, mentally full, spiritually underbuilt. Focus is not found, it is protected. You do not wait for focus to appear. You create conditions where focus can survive. Start with your notifications. Most of them are not urgent. They are invitations to leave yourself. Turn off what does not need access to your nervous system. Then create one focus block, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, one task, one clear outcome, phone away from your hand, not face down on the desk, away. Because if the distraction is within reach, part of your mind remains available to it. Protect the room, protect the block, protect the task. At first your mind may resist. It will want stimulation, it will want to check, it will want to wander. That does not mean you cannot focus. It means your attention has been trained by interruption. And anything trained can be retrained. Bring it back again, again, again. That is attention mastery. Not perfect focus, repeated return. Every time you bring your attention back, You strengthen the part of you that chooses. You become less available to noise, less controlled by impulse, less dependent on stimulation, more capable of deep work, more capable of clear thinking, more capable of being present with your own life, and presence is rare. Many people are physically in their life but mentally elsewhere. At dinner, they are on the phone. At work, they are thinking about messages. At rest, they are consuming. In silence, they are anxious. Their body is in one place, but their attention is scattered across 100 open doors. Close the doors, not forever, just long enough to build. Your attention deserves a direction. Ask yourself each morning, what deserves my attention today? Not what is loud. What deserves it? What future am I feeding with my focus? What part of my life needs the best of my mind, not the leftovers? Then act accordingly. For the next 24 hours, turn off non-essential notifications. Create one focus block. Replace one scrolling session with one building session. Before opening an app, ask, is this helping me build or helping me avoid? That question alone can change your day, because attention is not just mental energy, it is life energy. And life energy must be protected. Where your attention goes, your life is being built. So guard it, because the next structure to protect is more fragile. Your reactions. Chapter 7. Master your reactions before they crack the structure. A strong life can still crack under uncontrolled reactions. One angry message can damage trust. One impulsive decision can create months of repair. One emotional outburst can turn a small problem into a lasting wound. One reaction can steal an entire day. This is why emotional control matters. Not because you should feel nothing, not because anger is wrong, not because sadness is weakness, not because fear makes you less capable. You are human. You will feel heat in your chest when someone disrespects you. You will feel tension when plans fall apart. You will feel the urge to defend yourself when misunderstood. You will feel the old wound open when someone touches a place inside you that has not fully healed. Self-mastery is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to feel without becoming the feeling. Feel it, name it, do not become it. Most people do not lose control because they lack intelligence. They lose control because they obey the first wave of anger, the first wave of panic, the first wave of pride, the first wave of fear. The first wave feels urgent. It tells you to speak now, reply now, decide now, defend now, attack now, leave now, post now, prove now. But urgency is not always wisdom. Sometimes, urgency is just an emotion trying to become the leader. And if you let every emotion lead, your life will be full of repairs. This is why the pause is sacred. The pause is where power returns. Between feeling and action, there is space. In that space, you choose who you are becoming. Without that space, you repeat who you have been. A trigger is not a command. A feeling is not always a fact. A thought is not always truth. A reaction is not always necessary. You are allowed to feel anger without becoming anger. You are allowed to feel fear without obeying fear. You are allowed to feel hurt without building your next decision from pain. This is emotional adulthood. It does not look dramatic. It looks like closing your mouth for 5 seconds. It looks like breathing before answering. It looks like writing the message and not sending it. It looks like saying, I need time before I respond. It looks like choosing respect when your ego wants victory. It looks like protecting the structure of your life from the storm of one moment, because that is what a reaction often is. A storm passing through. But many people build permanent decisions from temporary weather. They end relationships in one emotional hour. They quit commitments in one discouraged week. They say words that cannot be unsaid. They make choices from pain and then live inside the consequences. Self-mastery asks you to slow down, not forever, just long enough to let wisdom enter the room. When you are triggered, practice this. Pause, breathe, name the emotion. Ask, what action would my future self respect? then respond later if needed. That question changes everything. Not, what do I feel like doing? Not, how do I win this moment? Not, how do I make them understand? Ask, what action would my future self respect? Your future self may respect silence. Your future self may respect honesty. Your future self may respect walking away. Your future self may respect a calm conversation. Your future self may respect not shrinking. Your future self may respect not exploding. The point is not to suppress the emotion. The point is to choose from a higher place than the emotion. This takes practice. At first, you may pause after you already reacted. That is still progress. Then you may notice the reaction while it is happening. That is more progress. Then one day, you will feel the heat rise and choose differently before damage is done. That is mastery beginning. Do not expect perfection. Expect training. Your reactions reveal where you are still untrained. That is not shameful. It is useful. Every trigger is information. It shows you where your structure needs repair. If criticism controls you, there is a crack around approval. If silence from others controls you, there is a crack around abandonment. If inconvenience controls you, there is a crack around patience. If being misunderstood controls you, there is a crack around ego. Do not hate the crack. Study it, repair it. Strength is not pretending nothing affects you. Strength is noticing what affects you and refusing to hand it the blueprint. For the next 72 hours, choose one reaction to master. Maybe it is checking your phone when anxious. Maybe it is interrupting when defensive. Maybe it is explaining too much. Maybe it is shutting down when uncomfortable. Maybe it is sending messages from emotion. Pick one. When it appears, pause, breathe, name it, choose. Chapter 7 teaches you how to master the moment. Chapter 8 will teach you how to master repetition. Because self-mastery is not only what you do when emotion rises. It is what you keep doing when motivation leaves. Feel it, name it, do not become it. Chapter 8. Choose discipline. When motivation leaves the room, motivation is weather. Discipline is architecture. Motivation comes and goes. It changes with sleep. It changes with stress. It changes with praise. It changes with results. It changes with the season of life you are in. Some days, motivation feels strong. You wake up clear. You feel ready. The goal feels close. The future feels possible. Other days, it disappears. Your body feels heavy. Your mind feels crowded. The work feels boring. The results feel slow. The old comfort calls your name. If your life depends on motivation, your life will be unstable. Because motivation was never meant to be the foundation. It is a spark, useful, but not enough to hold the structure. Discipline is different. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not self-hatred. Discipline is not forcing yourself to become a machine. Discipline is protection. It protects what matters when your emotions stop cooperating. It protects your future from your temporary mood. It protects your standards from your excuses. It protects the person you are becoming from the comfort of the person you have been. A disciplined person does not wake up every day feeling powerful. They wake up with a commitment. There is a difference. Feeling powerful is pleasant. Commitment is reliable. Mature people do not only ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask, "What did I commit to?" This question is not glamorous, but it builds. It builds trust. It builds strength. It builds identity. Every time you do what matters when you do not feel like it, you teach yourself that your standards are not controlled by your mood. That is freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you feel. The freedom to do what is right even when feelings resist. This is where many people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline must be intense, hard, extreme, all or nothing. So when they cannot do the perfect version, they do nothing. They miss the gym, so they abandon the week. They lose focus in the morning, so they waste the whole day. They break one habit, so they decide they have failed. That is not discipline. That is perfectionism wearing a military uniform. Real discipline has a smaller, stronger rule. Do the smallest version on the hardest day. If you cannot do 1 hour, do 10 minutes. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot write 5 pages, write 1 paragraph. If you cannot clean the whole room, clear the sick. If you cannot fix the entire life, keep 1 promise. The smallest disciplined action on a hard day is more powerful than a perfect plan on an easy day, because it protects continuity, and continuity builds identity. Your mind does not only learn from intensity, it learns from repetition. Every repeated action says, "This is who we are now." That is why you need non-negotiables, not 20, 3, 1 for your mind, 1 for your body, 1 for your future. For your mind, maybe it is 10 minutes of reading, prayer, meditation, or journaling. For your body, maybe it is walking, stretching, training, or preparing 1 better meal. For your future, maybe it is deep work, learning a skill, building a project, applying for something, or practicing your craft. 3 daily non-negotiables, small enough to repeat, meaningful enough to matter. Do them especially when you do not feel like it. Not because the action is huge, because the identity is. You are becoming a person who does not abandon the structure when the weather changes. Then follow 1 rule: never skip twice. Missing once is human. Missing twice is a pattern asking to return. If you miss a day, do not create a story. Do not attack yourself. Do not dramatize it. Return fast. That is discipline too. Reset fast, rise faster. Track it for 30 days, not to become obsessive, to create evidence. A checked box is not just a mark. It is proof. Proof that you showed up. Proof that you kept the structure alive. Proof that the future version of you is not a fantasy. It is being built. You will not always feel inspired. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel clear. But you can become consistent. And consistency creates a deeper confidence than motivation ever could. Because motivation says, "I can do this when I feel ready." Discipline says, "I can do this because I keep my word." That is inner power, quiet, unshowy, reliable. Ask yourself, what do I only do when I feel motivated? What commitment needs a structure, not a mood? What is the smallest version I can still complete today? What would happen if I refused to quit for 30 days? Do not underestimate that question. 30 days of honest repetition can rebuild self-respect, not because 30 days solves everything, but because it proves you are no longer living at the mercy of feeling. Discipline is the framework that holds your life when feelings fail. And once that framework is strong, you can enter one of the most important phases of building, the quiet phase. The phase where you stop announcing and start becoming. Chapter 9. Build quietly until the results speak. Not every plan needs to be announced. Not every change needs to be explained. Not every dream needs an audience before it has roots. Some things grow better in silence. This is difficult in a world that rewards visibility. People are encouraged to share every goal, every thought, every change, every step, every emotional shift, every plan before the plan has even been tested by action. But the early stage of growth is fragile. It does not need noise, it needs protection. A seed does not become stronger because everyone watches it. A foundation does not become deeper because strangers approve of it. A building under construction is not always beautiful. It can look unfinished, messy, unclear, easy to criticize. But unfinished does not mean failing. It means work is happening. The same is true for your life. When you are rebuilding yourself, people may not understand what they are seeing. They may see you becoming quieter and think you are distant. They may see you setting boundaries and think you are cold. They may see you working privately and think nothing is happening. They may see you changing your habits and feel uncomfortable because your growth disrupts the role they expected you to keep playing. Let them misunderstand the construction phase. You do not need applause while laying foundations. Many people lose energy because they speak too early. They talk about the goal before they have built evidence. They explain the vision before they have built consistency. They seek encouragement from people who cannot understand the blueprint. Then one doubtful comment weakens them. One joke makes them question themselves. One uninterested reaction makes the dream feel smaller. This is why silence can be strategy. Not secrecy from fear, silence from focus. There is a difference. Fearful secrecy hides because it is ashamed. Strategic silence protects because it is building. You do not need to make every move public. You do not need to convince everyone that you are changing. You do not need to explain the new standards to people committed to the old version of you. Use your energy to build, not to perform the building, not to describe the building, not to defend the building. Build. Deep work is quiet. Healing is quiet. Discipline is quiet. Identity shifts are quiet. The most important changes often happen before anyone can measure them. You wake up earlier. No one sees you pause before reacting. No one claps. You choose water instead of another habit that drains you. No one knows. You work for one focused hour. No one celebrates. You say no to something that would have weakened you. No one posts about it. But you know, and that matters. Because self-respect is built in private before it is recognized in public. Quiet progress creates inner evidence. You begin to trust yourself again, not because others praise you. Because you are watching yourself keep promises no one else can see. This is powerful. A person who needs constant validation is easy to interrupt. A person who can build quietly becomes difficult to control. Because they are no longer addicted to immediate recognition. They understand that results need time, roots need time, strength needs time. A life on your own terms cannot be rushed to impress people who are not responsible for living it. Ask yourself, what goal have I been talking about more than building? This question may sting. Let it. Have you been explaining the plan instead of executing it? Have you been collecting reactions instead of collecting evidence? Have you been looking for people to believe in you before you have practiced? Believing yourself through action. Maybe it is time to go quiet. Choose one important goal. Keep it private for 30 days, not hidden from everyone, just protected from unnecessary noise. Share it only with someone who helps you stay accountable, not someone who needs to approve it. Then build daily. Track the progress. Small progress, private progress, real progress. One page, one workout, 1 hour, one application, one lesson, one difficult conversation, one better decision, one promise kept. Let the results become your explanation. This does not mean you never share. It means you stop sharing before the work has roots. There will be a time to speak. There will be a time to show. There will be a time to let others see what discipline has been doing in silence. But do not rush that moment. The need to be seen too early can weaken the work. Build so deeply that your results become your explanation. Because the goal is not to look transformed. The goal is to become transformed. And transformation does not need noise to be real. It needs repetition, protection, patience, standards, silence. So build quietly. Let others talk. Let others doubt. Let others misunderstand. Let the world be loud. You stay with the blueprint. You stay with the structure. You stay with the work. And when the time comes, your life will speak in a language louder than announcement. Evidence. Build so deeply that your results become your explanation. And when the results begin to speak, you will face the final truth. You are not just building habits. You are becoming the architect. Chapter 10. Live as the architect, not the prisoner. There comes a moment in self-mastery when you stop seeing yourself as trapped. Not because life becomes easy. Not because every problem disappears. Not because the past stops existing. But because you finally understand your role. You are not here only to survive the structure you inherited. You are here to redesign what comes next. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are not a prisoner of other people's expectations. You are not a prisoner of the version of you that learned to survive. You are the architect. But this truth is not just empowering. It is demanding, because an architect cannot blame the building forever. An architect must study the cracks, review the blueprint, choose better materials, strengthen the foundation, repair what has weakened, remove what does not belong, and build with responsibility. That is the part many people avoid. They like the idea of freedom. They do not always like the responsibility that freedom requires. A life on your own terms sounds beautiful until you realize you can no longer blame everyone else for the life you refuse to redesign. Yes, things shaped you. Family shaped you. Culture shaped you. Pain shaped you. Fear shaped you. Past experiences shaped you. But self-mastery begins when you decide that being shaped by something is not the same as being owned by it. You may not have chosen the first blueprint, but you can choose the next one. You can redesign your reactions. You can pause where you used to explode. You can speak honestly where you used to perform. You can set boundaries where you used to overgive. You can protect attention where you used to drift. You can build discipline where you used to wait for motivation. You can choose silence where you used to seek validation. You can become someone your younger self needed. This is what it means to live as the architect, not perfect, responsible, not untouched by emotion, trained in response, not free from pressure, clear under pressure, not understood by everyone, aligned without needing everyone's approval. The prisoner says, "This is just how my life is." The architect asks, "What can be redesigned?" The prisoner says, "I cannot change because of what happened." The architect says, "What happened matters, but what I build next matters too." The prisoner waits for someone to open the door. The architect studies the walls and finds where the structure can shift. You have more agency than your fear wants you to believe. Maybe not total control. No one has that. But enough. Enough to choose your morning. Enough to protect your attention. Enough to pause before reacting. Enough to stop feeding what drains you. Enough to keep one promise. Enough to build one structure. Enough to become dangerous to the old pattern. That is where your power lives. Not in controlling everything. In refusing to abandon what is yours to control. So write your personal blueprint. Not as decoration, as a declaration. My foundation is. Maybe your foundation is honesty. Maybe it is discipline. Maybe it is faith. Maybe it is emotional control. Maybe it is self-respect. Name it. My boundaries protect your time, your focus, your peace, your family, your health, your future. Name it. My standards are clear, simple, non-negotiable. Name them. My daily structure is the morning rule, the focus block, the movement habit, the evening reset, the pause before reaction. Name it. My focus will go to what you are building, what strengthens you, what matters when the noise fades. Name it. When I react, I will pause. Breathe. Name the emotion. Choose what your future self would respect. Name it. I am building, not escaping, not pretending, not performing, building. Name it. This exercise is not small. It is the moment you stop letting life remain abstract. You give your future language. You give your discipline direction. You give your choices a structure to return to. And you remind yourself that your life is not merely something happening to you. It is something being built through you. Every day is construction. Every choice places material somewhere. Every reaction strengthens or weakens the structure. Every boundary protects or exposes the foundation. Every focused hour adds weight to the future. Every quiet act of discipline becomes part of the architecture. Do not underestimate the small things. Life is not built in one dramatic decision. It is built in repeated private alignments. The way you start the morning, the way you speak when triggered, the way you return after failing, the way you keep promises no one sees, the way you protect your attention from the world's noise, the way you choose standards over excuses. That is architecture. That is self-mastery. That is how freedom becomes real. You are not trapped in the life you inherited. You are responsible for the life you build next. And responsibility is not a burden when it gives your power back. It is the doorway. So live as the architect. Study the structure, repair the cracks, protect the materials, return to the blueprint. Build with patience, build with silence, build with standards, build when no one understands, build when motivation leaves, build when the old self asks you to come back. Build until the life around you begins to reflect the strength inside you. You do not find your life, you build it, and now you know where to begin. The blueprint begins today. Take a breath, let everything you have heard settle. This audiobook was never about becoming someone else. It was about returning to the part of you that knows you were not meant to live by default. You were not meant to be pulled forever by noise, fear, comparison, pressure, and old patterns. You were not meant to spend your life reacting to everything around you while ignoring the quiet authority within you. You were meant to build. And now the blueprint is clearer. Awareness is the first brick. The blueprint is your values, the foundation is inner authority. The walls are your boundaries. The structure is your standards turned into habits. The materials are your attention, time, and energy. The repairs are your emotional control. The framework is discipline. The construction phase is quiet consistency. And the final identity is the architect. This is the architecture of self-mastery. Not loud, not easy, not instant, but real. From this point forward, do not ask life to become easier before you become clearer. Do not wait for the world to calm down before you learn to lead yourself. Do not wait for confidence before you keep a promise. Do not wait for permission before you become responsible. The work begins where you are, with what you have, with one honest brick. For the next 72 hours, do not let this remain only something you listen to. Turn it into evidence. Day 1. Write your blueprint. Write 3 standards you are no longer willing to negotiate. Not 10. 3. Make them honest. Make them clear. Make them strong enough to guide you when the old life asks you to return. Day 2. Protect your materials. Cut one source of distraction that has been stealing your attention. One app, one habit, one conversation, one pattern. One place where your focus has been leaking. Do not announce it, just protect it. Day 3. Act like the architect. Take one small action that proves you are building by design, not living by default. Wake up without giving your mind to the phone. Go for the walk. Do the focused hour. Have the honest conversation. Pause before reacting. Keep the promise. Make the next brick real. If this audiobook helped you see your life differently, subscribe to Inner Power Audio for more deep self-mastery audiobooks. Like this video if you believe more people need calm, honest, powerful reminders like this. Share it with someone who is trying to rebuild their life in silence. And leave a comment with one sentence. I am building by design. Let that sentence become more than a comment. Let it become a standard. Because the life you want will not appear by accident. It will be built by awareness, protected by discipline, shaped by standards, strengthened by silence, and carried by the version of you who finally stops living by default. You do not find your life, you build it. And the blueprint begins today.